Hi, I'm Lois Beres at KZGN-TV, and this is Ridgecrest Talk. And today I'm talking with Chief Strand, who is the Chief of Police of our Ridgecrest Police Department. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for the invite.
Have you been on the Ridgecrest Police Department for a long time?
Yeah, I just hit my 29th year
That's a long
last
time.
month. Yeah.
All right. So you started as a police officer in Ridgecrest?
Yes.
Okay. Are you a native Ridgecrest?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Nope,
There are a few, but not too many.
Well, yeah, I grew up in Santa Ana, which is in Orange County, and came up here in January of '86. Been here ever
To
since.
become a police officer? Is that what you
Yeah, I was hired. I finished the academy and I was hired as a police officer and came up to work.
You went to the academy on your own?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I was 20 years old when I went to the academy, and I was still about 3 months shy of being 21 when I
Really?
graduated, so I had to wait a couple months before I could get hired. So
That's amazing.
Yeah, I started about 1 month after my 21st birthday, and
Well, sometimes it's hard to get in. You must have been a real superstar or something.
I
Did
wouldn't
you?
say that. No, it just Ridgecrest was appealing. I think my story was like a lot of other people's stories. I really wasn't planning on coming up here and staying forever. I was going to come up for a few years and work my way up to Inyo County and Mammoth areas where I really wanted to go. And of course, how things go, you get here, and
29 years later, you're
29
still
years
there.
later, you get married, you have a home, you find out that's a great community, and
Right.
and then you could visit all you want up, an
You
hour
can
or
go
two.
visit up there for an hour.
I go up there quite a bit,
Not
so
have to live there.
yeah, so I get the best of both worlds.
The cop shop up in Mammoth doesn't even stay open 24 hours a day, does it?
Yeah, I think in Mammoth they are now. There are some hours where they have nobody on duty.
Yeah, 'cause that was-
wasn't so up until a couple years ago when they had the budget issue.
Oh, okay, because I had a branch bank that I worked for that was in Mammoth, and after like 8 o'clock at night, you couldn't get anybody unless there was a big emergency, and
Yeah.
then you could call. I
Yeah,
guess.
that just changed a couple of years ago.
Did
But
it?
prior to that, they had 24/7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So, you are now chief.
Yes.
You worked all the way up. Did you have to go back to school, or what qualifies you to get to that level?
Well, I have my associate's degree through Saracoso, and I have my bachelor's degree through University of Laverne, and of course that helped, my ascent up through the ranks. But I think a lot
Is
of
it in police science, or what is it?
No, well, the first degree was in criminal justice. The
Criminal
second one was
justice,
in
okay.
organizational management, which I use quite a bit now as chief. But
Yeah, I imagine you would.
yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with working hard, having the education, and just being at the right place at the right time.
That was good, yeah, and you're at the level that you needed to be. So, are
Yeah.
you enjoying being chief?
Yes.
That's cool. I think
Yeah.
it's good for us too, because I hear
This
a
is
lot of
my
good things about.
6.5 years chief. I was deputy chief for a year and a half when Mike Avery
Went to be
was acting city
city
manager. So
manager,
he was upstairs being mentored as city manager, and I was being mentored by Mike Avery as chief. And then when the switch occurred, he became city manager, and a couple months later, I became chief.
And then you were still there if you had a major
Yeah.
question for a while to
Yeah.
get it. So,
Yeah.
so now you're the boss. How many people do you have working for you? How many police officers do we have?
We have 49 employees, 32 officers, including myself.
Sworn officers.
Sworn officers, yes.
Okay, and what are the others?
Well, we have we run a 24/7 dispatch center. We have 5 dispatchers. We have record clerks. We have property evidence technicians, code enforcement, which just came back here about
Yeah, we didn't have that for a while.
about a year ago. Tom did it for us for about I think it
Tom
was a year and a
Wakely, right?
half. Yeah, about a year and a half, 2 years. Yeah.
All right.
He volunteered for us there for a while, and we also have our animal control unit.
Right. I had Mary Stage on here with me once, and are they fully staffed out there too? Or?
At this point, they are. We're trying to get them a little extra help out there. We're looking to find a way of saving some money so we can hire a part-time person. We're looking at doing an energy project out at the shelter so we can reduce our energy costs, so we can justify adding on a 20-hour
Take that money you
person.
saved and put it to another person.
Obviously, it has to be approved by the boss, Mr. Spear.
Okay, that's how the force is funded, through the city. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You get occasional grant, but for the most part, the basic funding is from the city's general fund? Or?
Well, the basic funding for the police department's general fund, as well as I think about 1.1 million on Measure L right now.
Oh, that's right.
As well as we have 3 COPS grants. 2 of them are ending December of 16, and then another one is ending, I think, in December of 17.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you work with those, and then do you have somebody working to get you more in those right now?
Well,
Do you
yeah,
have a grant writer or somebody?
Oh, we don't have a grant writer. I mean, we get a lot of grants, but most of the grants that are written are by various people within the department.
Okay.
I have, Sergeant Dampier has written a couple of our alcohol beverage control grants that we have for dealing with underage drinking in the community.
I saw something in the paper about that the other day.
Yes.
That's a good thing.
We have our off-highway vehicle grant, which is written out of our traffic unit. I believe this year Officer Nathan Lloyd wrote the grant. We also submit for our officer traffic safety grants. Usually those are submitted by Sergeant Myers. We've gotten, I think, 5 of those, totaling to over $500,000 here in the last 5 years.
That's
so
great, and those come from various places.
Yeah, various places. Then we've gotten our COPS grants, and then
those are state, right?
Those are federal.
Federal.
Yeah, those are federal grants. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those are federal grants. Usually they're 3-year grants with a 50% match from the city.
So the city has to match it by 50%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for 3 years with the obligation of us, keeping the position at least for a year afterwards.
Okay. Okay, I didn't realize it was a whole year. I thought, I knew you could do it.
Then, of course, you have Major L, and I think right now we have pretty close to 10 officers that are funded by Major L, as well as we are purchasing, vehicles every year, patrol vehicles every year with Major L funding. So for us, Major L is extremely important. It's allowed us during this economic downturn and the city's loss of the redevelopment funds to maintain, sufficient staffing so we can manage crime in our community.
Right.
But prior to that, we were approved up to 38 officers.
Oh, wow.
And prior to Major L passing, we were on the decline. So with that, it's allowed us to stabilize our department, which then allows us to provide more consistent and law enforcement to the community where we're a lot more responsive.
Excellent. How many calls a day do you kind of have? Do you know?
I think we average anywhere between 50 to 70 calls a day.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. And how many people are on the staff there to do that?
Well, typically the people that are available for 911 calls during the day are anywhere between 3 and 5 officers, and one of those officers being a supervisor.
Okay.
So it just depends on our staffing level. Right now, we have 3 officers out on injury, so it makes it makes a little more difficult, to have that level of staffing that we need to be at.
Okay, we're going to go to break, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more about staffing and the levels of your officers. Okay?
Yes.
We'll be back in about 2 minutes. Stay with us with Chief Strand. Okay, you're back with Lois Beres and Chief Strand of Ridgecrest Police Department. We were just talking about his staffing level and how many officers he has, and you told me, but I don't remember the number already. It was 30?
It was 32 officers.
32 officers.
And we're 49 employees all total.
Okay, and your officers, some of them are fully sworn and some are reserve, is that right? Or?
Well, we have 32 sworn full-time officers, and I believe we have 8 reserve officers.
Okay, and they fill in the blanks when the others aren't there, or do they work on a full-time basis?
No, they're part-time volunteer. It's like our packed volunteers.
I was going to ask you about that. They assist you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but as a reserve officer, you assist us at a different level. They do have peace officer powers when they're working.
They could do arrests?
Yes, they can do arrests.
And the packed people can't do those,
correct.
Can they? Okay.
Yeah, correct.
But they do a lot for you, because I've seen them at crime scenes and traffic and all that. They can do the things that the sworn officer can't do, or doesn't. You need him to do something else, so they could run traffic or something.
Yeah, they augment what we do. They're very important to our organization, as all of our staff is. I mean, everybody has a role in the department supporting what we do in the field. Ultimately, we need to be there when somebody picks up the phone and calls 911. We need to have an officer that responds there in a timely fashion to handle whatever's going on, and all the support staff enables that person to be able to respond. Now we also have detectives that follow up on cases that are quite a little more difficult, take a little more time, may take themselves out of the area, but primarily everything supports the field officer.
That's what I was going to ask you, though. You have detectives, and I know you have traffic. What are the different levels of the way they're graded, or what they do for you? Or
well, we have the structure, the command structure.
That's what
we
I
have
guess
chief
I
of
should have
police,
asked.
captain, sergeant, and then we have officers and detectives. Now, the officers and detectives, we have officers who are assigned to patrol. We have officers who are assigned to detectives who do the follow-up on the cases that the officers cannot complete on a daily basis. They're also there available to work our major cases, like if we have a homicide, a robbery, a rape, a child molestation, something that's a lot more entailed, that's going to take a lot longer to complete. We also have 2 school resource officers that work within the district. One officer is assigned to the high schools, Mesquite and Burroughs, and the other officer is assigned to the middle schools as well as elementary schools.
are those part of your 32 officers?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's really not an awful lot of people. Are you shorthanded? Do you need more people? Or?
Well, we can always use more people, but
Yeah.
we look at this way here. I mean, we have enough staffing right now, minus the people who are out on injuries. We have enough staffing to manage what we have going on. We are very lean, but we still have enough staffing to be able to field units in the field, as well as be proactive and be able to make an effort to solve the big crimes.
When you talked about patrol a while ago, does that mean they just get in the car and drive around and watch for things? Or
They
what?
can, but most of the time they spend most of their day, I would say over half their day, responding to calls for service.
Okay.
And so, well, sometimes actually quite a bit more, depending upon, sometimes they can go call to call.
I hear your group out there.
No, that's ambulance.
Oh, okay. You can tell the difference. I can tell the difference.
A little
That's
bit, yeah. I
amazing.
can tell it between that and fire department. You can
But
tell.
you usually have to go when the ambulance is called, don't you, or not?
No, not always.
No?
Depends on what happens.
I've seen sometimes, and sometimes they weren't, and I didn't know the difference.
Yeah, it depends on
Depends
the
on
nature of
what
the call.
caused the call of the ambulance.
Right. Yeah. If we
Oh.
have somebody who's a victim of a violent crime, then you'll have, the officers will respond with it.
And the officers will go, and then your packed guys will show up. You call them out. Are they in the office, whatever? And they'll go help maybe get traffic or put yellow tape up. or
Like I said,
something
we're
like
very
that.
blessed to have our packed unit, as well as CERT. They help within the Department on administrative stuff. They transport evidence to Bakersfield for us. They assist us on managing crime scenes. They
What's
do
CERT?
our community emergency response team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What is?
Well, they're more of our disaster folks.
Okay.
They're trained in how to deal if we have a natural disaster within the community. They can come out and assist us, but we also use them for traffic control. We've used them for attempting to locate lost people.
Are they volunteers?
Yes, they're volunteers.
Okay. Are they going to work? Are you guys going to work with the Navy? I was reading the paper that the Navy's got this big thing coming up. You guys are going to work with them on that?
Yeah. The Citadel Shield, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, my captain and my administrative sergeant, they have a briefing today for the event tomorrow.
Oh, it's
So,
tomorrow.
yes,
Okay, I
tomorrow. So
wasn't sure which
we'll be-
day it was.
Yeah,
but-
we'll be participating with them tomorrow in that.
All right, that's very interesting that you've got it. And then you've got another thing you do either annually or semi-annual or something for earthquake type things, don't you? Or
That's usually the Citadel Shield that...
They do that?
Yeah, we work with the base, yeah.
okay,
And I know the hospital does a couple of drills during the year, and we assist them with that.
do you? Okay, because you would need to in a real event.
Yes.
You'd need to be there with them.
Yeah.
So that gives you a little bit of practice, I guess. So-
Yes.
Okay, what if this young man or woman wants to become a police officer? They come see you, they get themselves in the academy. What is the best thing for them to do?
Well, the best career track that I could say is go to school,
Get your
complete high school.
high school degree,
Yeah.
I mean diploma.
Yeah, stay good.
Okay.
Don't get involved in any criminal
No problems.
activity. Yeah, no problems. Go to college, get your college degree. There are some departments that if you test for them, they will hire you and sponsor you through the academy. Other departments will wait till the person puts themselves through the academy and they'll get picked up during the academy or afterwards and will be hired.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so the big thing that one of the big disqualifiers we have are people's backgrounds, where they get involved in stuff that disqualifies them.
As a juvenile, they do something stupid and get arrested or something.
Well, it just depends on what it is. I mean,
How stupid?
Depends on what. Yeah, it depends on how stupid. It depends on what it is and how long ago.
Okay.
Sometimes depending upon what it is and how old you were and what you've done, since that, will determine whether or not you're eligible to be an officer.
You need to be pretty squeaky clean, though, if you can.
Yeah, you should be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking for good citizens.
Do you need more people?
Well, we're always hiring a couple times a year, just as a
Okay.
natural, progression or loss of personnel. But
Do they move on, your people, when you get them in and get them trained, and then do they move on? Or?
some do, yes, but we have had some officers that have been here for quite a long time.
That's
just
good.
depends.
Yeah, I recognize a few of them sometimes
Yeah,
when
it just
I'm out and
depends.
about.
I mean, the new generation of employee tends to have 3 or 4 jobs, 3 or 4 different careers, and it's no different than with ours.
Same with police department.
Right, yeah.
Right. Okay. So we're going to come back in a little bit and talk about some of the other things that you do down there. And in the meantime, we're going to go to another break, and then we'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think I quit early. We're back with Lois Beres and Chief Strand from the Ridgecrest Police Department. We were just talking about crime. Isn't that unusual with a police officer? What type of crime do you see for the most part in Ridgecrest?
Well, for a few years we saw a significant spike in our aggravated assaults or serious crimes.
Was that because of the police, the state releasing those folks?
Yeah, we believe it had direct results to AB 109 with the mass release of the felons from state prison.
Because it seemed like for a while there was just people that we'd never heard of before that were here.
Well, the problem with it was when they released them from prison, they released them with no conditions, no parole. They just set them out on the street.
Just go.
Yeah, there was no tracking. You had no idea who you had in your community unless you ran across them.
Wow.
So we struggled with that for a couple of years. We saw an increase in our crime for a couple of years. Got about 10% above higher where it had been. Last year was a good year. We saw about a 17% decrease in crime.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
it
really
leveled out.
So even the 10% then came down, so you were down below
It came down
that.
even lower, yeah. And then we had the issue with Prop 47 that passed by the voters in last November. And basically what that did was it released about another 10,000 felons from state prison. It also made all simple possession of narcotics a misdemeanor instead of a felony.
Okay, is that better or worse for you?
Well, it's a little bit worse.
I thought it might be because it's more on the street.
It's a lot
probably.
worse. I would say drugs and alcohol are pretty much the factors that run the majority of our crime in our community.
Trigger a lot of it, don't they?
Yeah, trigger a lot of it,
Because they get loose and do stupid things.
Yeah, unfortunately, the way that the state of California has dealt with drug addiction in the past, we've dealt with it through incarceration. Mm-hmm. Well, we don't really have anything out there right now to deal with people who are addicted to serious narcotics, meth, cocaine, heroin. In the past, we used incarceration to get them off the street for a period of time, lock them up, dry them out. Dry them out, and they got released. Well, that's not happening anymore. And so what we're running across now is people who are a little bit further along in their addiction. They're committing crimes they probably would not normally have committed, and then in some cases are much more violent to deal with. So we're concerned, what's going to happen here in the next couple months, because right now the state's prison system is in the process of releasing these 10,000 prisoners, and it's changed who goes to jail. So
wow, and so that too is probably we'll see some more people on our streets.
Maybe. It just depends. There for a while at the Kern County Jail, they were impacted. People were doing 15-20% of their time. There is a little bit more room now in the Kern County Jail because of Prop 47, because anybody that had been convicted of a drug offense or a certain property offense was released from custody. So there has been a little bit more room in county jail, so they are able to incarcerate people a little bit longer and people for a little bit different crimes. So it's kind of a wait and see. We're going to see where this goes. I know a lot of us are concerned about where it's at. We're hoping that we'll continue to adapt to whatever happens and move on. I know we're working really hard to try and get a substance abuse program in our school district.
I know Supervisor Gleason was working with some of that at one time, and I think they still are. You're probably telling them what they need to do or helping them.
Well, actually, no. I mean, they're
kind of doing it.
Well, no, we're engaged together, but I think that Supervisor Gleason has pushed that forward along with a few members of the community. They're trying to work. We'd really like to try and get something in the community for adult substance abuse counseling or prevention. Unfortunately, there's really not any monies that are going to be coming in for that purpose. So it's going to have to be something that the community is going to have to come up with a way of dealing with it. I know that Vicky Rizzardini, that's out there. I
can remember her last name. I remember Vicky.
Yeah, we've got Bill Corley.
She's working hard.
Pastor Bill Corley at Crossroads, and so we're hoping here after a while to be able to get the group together and maybe we can come up with something that is sustainable, something that will last more than just a year or two, because we really truly need that within the community. Because with the passage of Prop 47, it was clearly sent that no longer are we going to control drug addiction by incarceration. We're going to have to figure something out in the communities.
Wow, that's for a small community like we are. That's kind of hard.
Well, part of it is because we're so far away from the county seat.
You have to take people to jail in Bakersfield.
Well, no, we have a facility here in Ridgecrest.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
okay.
We have a facility here in Ridgecrest. But we talk about mental health. That's a different story. If we have to ship somebody to Mary Kay Shell because they're in danger themselves or others, we have to take them to Bakersfield. So I know that the hospital, Jim Suver at Ridgecrest Regional Hospital, is working on trying to get additional mental health services in the valley, which will help. So, I mean, we're working on it. It's just everything works very slow.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to be able to address. You get the
idea, but then you have to have bodies behind it and ideas and work and all that good stuff.
Like I said, we're very fortunate. We do have a very good community that is interested in having a safe community, is interested in calling the police department. They're interested in they're interested in being witnesses and victims. So this stuff gets reported to us, whereas in some other communities they may not.
So you do get them. You do get a lot of people that will call you.
Yeah, we handle about. I think last year we handled about 21,000 calls for service.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yes.
It could be anything from I don't know.
It could be anything from a homicide to somebody complaining about a barking dog.
My goodness.
It just depends.
We're running down to the end of time. Is there something you really want to get out and tell people that you need them to do, or that you'd like to tell them about your people? Or?
Well, I think the biggest thing coming up is they have the Officer of the Year Awards on Friday, March 27th.
Okay.
It's put on by all the service organizations within Ridgecrest.
That's good. Yeah.
We would encourage as many people to show up at that event as possible. They do honor an officer from each agency in the valley. That would be Ridgecrest Police Department, Kern County Sheriff, California Highway Patrol, and China Lake Police Department.
Wonderful.
And occasionally they put another agency in there. I'm not too sure.
No kidding.
Who or if it,
Where did
if
they
it has
come
this year.
from? Gee.
But yeah, it is over at the Elks Lodge over on
Wonderful.
on East Church. And
okay, we are at really close to the end, and what I want to tell you is that we are a community station and we want to work with you. Okay. So if there's anything that you need, give us a call. I mean, if there's something that you need an important announcement made out to the community, give us a call. We'll see if we can put it, like weather or traffic or horrible things that we don't need to be around.
I appreciate that.
And we'd like possibly to have some of your other officers come in and talk with us and see how they're doing.
Yeah.
So maybe I could just keep in contact with your office and get some other, maybe once a month or once a
I do have a few officers that probably probably do a very good job sitting in the seat.
Okay, well, that's great. Well, I appreciate it so much. In Ridgecrest, we're very lucky because we have a great police department. We have a great town. And we're going to be out of here, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for coming.
Bye.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I got a star on my car and one on my chest, a gun on my hip and the right to arrest. I'm the guy who's a boss on